That's just that's and pull up in you. Oh, this. All right. Let's get started. Make sure the camera right. Gotta get the angle right. This video, we're gonna be talking about the game of life and how to play it. If you don't realize by now, this life is a game. And what is a game? A game is a paradigm. All games are paradigms. So we're gonna draw a nice handy dandy little controller. I got a little bit of artistic skills in me. Check that. Boom. Throw a little blue, a little red. The blue, the red. We can go orange, green, something like that. Blue. Welcome to the game of life and how to play it. As I said, if you don't realize by now, we are playing a game. And all games are paradigms. And every game has rules. The game of life is no different. The problem is that most of us don't know the rules. They never learn the rules that they're playing by. So in this video, we're gonna go over some of those rules. So some of the key ideas. Life is a game. Life equals a game. And all games are paradigms. Prior to this, I said our life is controlled and created, co-created through our thoughts. And if we are not careful, something called a paradigm can control our thinking, but you have a choice. So, key ideas. Life is a game. The game runs on rules. The game runs on rules. Third, rules create outcomes. Outcomes repeated. Voila, paradigms. So you can see the loop here. Hopefully you can see the loop, but I'm gonna give you another way to see this loop. Thoughts. From our thoughts, we take action. From the action, we get results. From the results, we form our beliefs, which goes back to our thoughts, action, the loop, all right? So, you're not unlucky. You're just playing a game that you don't understand. Life is very orderly. Whether we realize it or not, there is order. Out of chaos came order. When our life looks like chaos on the outside, it's out of order up here. You don't have to understand how electricity works to turn a switch on. Some people play this game and they don't understand, but they didn't turn the switch on. For those who like to understand how the game is played, we're talking about it here. So we have this basis. The game of life. Life equals a game. All games are paradigms. A game runs on rules. Rules create outcomes. Outcomes repeated. Paradigms. We can see this circle here. Thoughts, actions, results, beliefs. So again, we're going to talk about what are paradigms. Get a mental screenshot of this. Take notes. Get your pen and your paper out. Take notes. We are in school. Some of y'all don't like school, but you got to learn. That's how you get ahead in life. You ain't get out of school and stop learning. If it is, that's your problem. All right, so what is a paradigm? First paradigm definition we're going to use is a set of rules and regulations. These can be written or unwritten. that does two things. First, it establishes or sets boundaries. Number two, it tells you how to behave inside of these boundaries in order to be successful. And how do we say we measure the results of successfulness? How do we measure being successful? Our ability to problem solve. Life is a series of problems, hence the game. So, what is a paradigm? It's a set of rules and regulations that can be written or unwritten that does two things. It establishes or sets boundaries, tells you how to behave inside these boundaries in order to be successful. We said life is a game. All games are paradigms. To give an example of this, we can look at, let's say the Super Bowl. This just passed. Super Bowl. They playing football. This is the football field. This is the boundaries. In order to be successful inside this game of football, you cannot run outside of these boundaries. It also has a bunch of rules and regulations, and that tell you how to behave. You got first downs, you got offsides, you got PI, you got this, you got that. This can't do this can't do that. So when we translate this to understanding our results in life, because if we can understand it here in this fundamental sense, the same rule applies to our personal life. So we can go back to our stick man and see again how the results come about in our life. We know we have two parts of our mind, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. For now, this is all we're going to talk about, these two parts. We do have a third. Then we have the body, which takes action and gets us the results with respect to our health, happiness, and our wealth. So the paradigm resides here in the subconscious mind. We know that this has no ability to accept or reject. We call this potential power. It's just there, waiting to move into form by us, the spiritual being. Remember the SIP. We're not our body, we're not our thoughts. We are spiritual beings having a human physical experience. We have a mind. We want to use this mind to increase this game of life, the vibration that we operate on, the results that we get, particularly in the aspect of health, happiness, and wealth. So, when we start to study the paradigm, there's a couple ways we can describe a paradigm. For now, we're going to go back to our law of polarity. That tells us there's a negative and a positive. With respect to this, we're going to call this negative side the survival paradigm, and we're going to call the positive side the spiritual. You see, we need to realize and wake up to the fact that we are not just this physical body, that we have power, potential power locked right here within us, that through proper study, proper gain of awareness, we can bring this potential power to the surface and express this through our results, ultimately creating a better life for you and I. I want to live a better life, a better, happier, more prosperous, successful life. So once we start to study this stuff and get a better understanding of this potential power that we have, We can bring it to the physical plane. But we need to realize, as long as this survival paradigm is our predominant way of thinking and our predominant vibration, it's going to be very hard to live here. We cannot think negative and positive at the same time. You have to do one or the other. There's a saying, can water flow straight through a crooked pipe? What we want to do is straighten this pipe and allow the water to flow to the spiritual side. So let's keep it going. Now that we understand what a paradigm is, we get a sense of how the paradigm is, where it is. We understand our conscious thoughts. They go down here, impressed on the subconscious mind. This is where the paradigm is. This is where the conscious mind is. This is where our body takes action, ultimately getting the results that you and I create or do not create in our life. I hope you're taking notes. We're going fast. So we're going to go over another definition of paradigm that states a paradigm is a framework or thought, a scheme for understanding and explaining certain aspects of reality. So I'm going to write that here. Now we need to understand that we do have more than one paradigm. We have paradigms in sections of our life. You have a paradigm in your relationship. You have a paradigm in your health. You have a paradigm with aspect to money. We have different paradigms, but how we see what pole of the paradigm we're operating from is the results that we're getting. You have to pay very close attention to the results that you are getting and realize you are responsible for your results. And as long as we allow our choices to be determined by circumstances, excuses, conditions, we are forever going to be bound to those things. You have the choice. So here's two definitions of paradigms. Now, a third one, and I again hope you guys are writing this stuff down. The third one, we're going to say a dominant paradigm is seldom, if ever, stated explicitly. It exists as unquestioned, tacit understanding that is transmitted through culture and to succeeding generations through direct experiences rather than being taught. A dominant paradigm is seldom, if ever, stated explicitly. It exists as unquestioned, tacit understanding that is transmitted through culture and to succeeding generations through direct experiences rather than teaching. Being taught rather than being taught. Last piece, being taught. So we can identify this when you just do stuff that you got from your dad, or you just do stuff that you got from your mom. You don't really know why. Because a lot of our life is lived in this unquestioned, unconscious state. But our objective is raising our awareness, raising our consciousness to a higher point. That is the big basis of why we do the certain things that we do, why we miss the mark, because we simply lack awareness. It's not that the awareness is not here. It's just that we don't remember or we don't realize that we have this awareness. So we're going to use a little story to illustrate this. And this is the ham story. We'll call this the holiday ham story. This is an old story that's told. I'm going to erase this. So this old ham story, it goes like this. A young woman is preparing holiday ham for dinner. Before putting it in the oven, she cuts about 1 inch off both ends of the ham. The questioner, maybe a curious husband, he asks, "Why do you cut the ends off the ham? That seems like a waste of good meat." She responds, "I don't know. That's just how my mother always did, and it makes the best ham. Here comes the investigation part. Not satisfied with the answer, the person asks her mother, and the mother says, I don't know, but that's how my mother or her grandmother did it. The grandmother is then contacted, and she's asked, why did she cut the ends of the ham off? She replies, because my roasting pan was too small to fit the whole thing. You see, some of us just do things because that's what other people do. I talked about this conformity. We see people walking this way, we're just going to walk this way. There's a test that we could do. If I had X amount of people, let's say 4 people in the room, and there was a 5th person that we knew was coming, and I told all these 4 people, I'm going to ask y'all a question, and y'all are going to give me the wrong answer on purpose. More than likely, this 5th person, even if they know these guys are not saying the right answer, they're going to raise their hand and say that's the right answer too, to conform from maybe a space of fear. We do a lot of things out of fear. We're either going to operate on that fear pole or that faith pole. A paradigm, in a sense, tells us that there is a game, what the game is, and how to successfully play it. So we understand that this life, this experience that we're having is a game. And once we start to understand that and we study the rules and the laws that govern this game, we can work in harmony with these to get better results. It's not that we are manipulating these. It's not that we are playing God. It's that we are working in harmony with what God has already established. If there's a law, there must be a law creator. If there is a creation, there must be a creator. We are co-creating our life based on these laws. So, a paradigm shift then is a change to a new game, a new set of rules, and when the rules change, the whole world can change. Now, of course, we're still going to be playing the same game of life, but we can look at this as we're playing on a different playing field, a new game. We switched a game. We're not playing football anymore. We're over here playing tennis. We're not over here in survival. We're over here in thrival, abundance, prosperity, the real spiritual essence of us. The spiritual being inside of us, the spiritual core of us is perfect. God is perfect. We are created in God's image. But through our human condition, we miss that mark. But we have the choice to strive back to that mark. So, remember, the perpetual transmutation of energy, everything is changing. And Bob Proctor stated, change is inevitable. Personal growth is a choice. So, again, we have the power to change the game that we are playing. And to wrap up this paradigm section, a paradigm is a subconscious program that controls what you notice, what you believe is possible, and how you react to reality. In other words, you don't see the world as it is, you see it as you are. A paradigm isn't your mindset, it's the software running your life. And it would be very silly, understanding that analogy, it would be very silly if our computer had a virus and we took a hammer and tried to bang the virus away, tried to smash the virus away. But this is what people do. They don't realize it's coming from the inside. They try so hard to change this physical reality, and that's not how you do it. You don't fight to change the existing reality. You create a new existing reality that makes this one obsolete. Now now that we understand the paradigm, we understand the game of life, we're going to talk about some laws. We're going to refresh. We're going to go over some new laws. We're going to talk about 7 laws again. Number 1, the law of mentalism. This tells us everything begins in our mind. You can understand this by imagining. Use your imagination. There was a time that we didn't have any of this stuff. All this stuff was first a thought in somebody's mind, conceived and held on the screen of their mind, and we brought it to this physical plane. The law of mentalism. The Wright brothers, they saw the plane in their mind. When somebody was laying on the ground, maybe uncomfortable, they thought, how can I get more comfortable? That's where the chair came from. Then they thought, how can I sit more people here? That's where a bench came from. Then a couch, then so on, then so on. We have built images in our mind. Everything starts in your mind. And then we bring it to the physical through action, through trial and error, through finding out. So again, this states that everything begins in the mind. We'll say here, our thought bubble. This turns into action. From our thoughts, we take action. This gives us results. 3. That's an important number. So, if life is a game, your mind is the controller. Your mind is the controller. We saw it here, SIP. The mind, the intellect, is that bridge that brings into the physical plane, the spiritual seed into the physical plane. So some key points here. Your thoughts create and are vibrations, which are one of the highest forms, one of the most potent forms of energy. Repeated thoughts create identity. Identity creates results. Your results are just thoughts made visible. We're flowing from the unseen to the seen. It's not the other way around. Then we have number 2, the law of correspondence. And this law tells us, as within, so without. As within, so without. As above, so below. And to illustrate this, we're going to draw this tree. As within, so without. We can also understand this with 2 circles. This is our beliefs. This is our results. As a man thinketh, so is he. That is an excellent book. I have it right here, actually. If you don't have this book, go get it. Good read. Very good read. James Allen, in that book, stated, the outer world of circumstances shapes itself to the inner world of thought, and both pleasant and unpleasant external conditions are factors which make for the ultimate good of the individual. As the reaper of his own harvest, man learns both by suffering and results, which ties us in to one of the following laws. But the key point here is that if you have chaos outside, that means there's confusion on the inside. If you have order outside, that means there's clarity on the inside. If you don't like your reality, check the beliefs creating it. Number 3, we have the law of vibration. What does this state? Everything moves and nothing rests. Remember the quote I said earlier? Change is inevitable. Personal growth is a choice. So the law of vibration tells us nothing rests, everything moves. To understand this, we have to use our higher faculty, our higher mind, our higher reasoning, because this board doesn't look like it's moving. This wall doesn't look like it's moving. Nothing here looks like it's moving to the physical eye, but the higher understanding tells us it's made up of tiny little vibrating atoms. Nothing rests, everything moves. The same with energy. We just talked about energy. As within, so without. This stuff needs to move. Once we get stuck, that's when our body starts to manifest these diseases, this anxiety, this suppression, and we have these physical symptoms of dis-ease. Dis-ease. So what does this tell us? Everything has a frequency, including our thoughts, our emotions, and our beliefs. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are tuned to. I like to use the radio analogy here. If we're listening to 96.5, there is no way that we can hear what's on 97.9. Remember, we're talking about paradigms here in the game of life. What does a paradigm do? It creates boundaries. So if the boundary is set here, we're not going to be tuned into anything outside of this until we take down this paradigm, this boundary, till we make the decision to take this down. Then we can move over here and start to hear from here. Because what's going to happen here? We're going to get this paradigm, and it's going to have things that we can't reach this station on. So what do you have to do again? Take this down to get to the next one. This is life. We understand this when we're dialing with the radio, but why don't we understand this with our own life? That's why I'm here. We're going to understand this. Keep studying this stuff. Stay with me. Repetition, 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 repetition. All right. To continue this, we say you can't play a PS5 game on a Nintendo controller. And that's what a lot of people tend to do. They're on this form of frequency, yet they want to play over here. It does not work like that. We must be, do, have. You must be where you are now. Start now. We don't need to wait. And this is what a lot of people tend to do. They tend to wait. They want all the lights to be green before they can go. If anything over here is red, I'll start going to the gym when this happens. I'll start doing this when this happens. I'll start better. No, you have to start now. Why? Because now is the time that we only have. And how you spend your day is how you spend your life. And I like to show this with our hourglass. We let this represent our life and our time. We know this time is going to run out one day. We don't know when that day is, but we let this bottom sand represent the past. There's nothing we can do to change this. And we don't know how much time we have left. So the only time we have is the now. This time that's ticking now that we see. We have conscious awareness that this time is going now. This is the only time that we have, and we need to make the most of this time. Stop playing around with your life. Make those decisions. The longer you put these off, the longer you're going to live with regret. No, I should have done this. No, I should have done that. Do it. And if it doesn't work out for you, that's good. You learned something. Let's keep it going. Paradigm. To link this to the paradigm, your emotional set point, your stress, your peace, your lack, or your gratitude is your default channel. Like a thermostat, it controls the deviation. You may get down here, you may get up here, But you're going to go back to this set paradigm because that's what it's programmed to do. A corn is only going to grow into a corn plant. An acorn is only going to grow into an oak tree. Just like whatever your mind is programmed to, that's what you're going to grow into. But unlike those things, we have choice. We can alter this program, but it's your choice and only yours. My intention is to help you get to the door, open it, and walk through that path. They say you can lead the horse to the water, but you can't make them drink it. The drinking is on you. Nobody can do this for you. So, your feelings are not reactions. They are indicators of your frequency. Pay attention. Pay attention. I'm going to put in a map that shows a map of this consciousness so we can begin to identify where do we lie on this map. So let's erase a little bit of this. Actually, we're going to come over here. And we're going to write number 4. This is the law of polarity. I said we're going to flow into this. The law of polarity. Everything has 2 poles. Everything has 2 poles. You have to have a hot so you can have a cold. You have to have failure so you can have success. What this means is lack and abundance are the same thing. Everything is energy. At the core essence, everything is energy. But this lack and abundance is the same thing at 2 different degrees or at different degrees. Napoleon Hill said, every setback, failure, or piece of adversity carries with it the opportunity for an equivalent or greater benefit, suggesting that failure is not final, but rather a preparatory phase that provides necessary lessons, resilience, and perspectives needed for future success. Galatians 6:4 tells us, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. All these things are telling us the same thing. Once you start to see the patterns in what these things are telling us, we can really start to work in harmony with this stuff. And we can have better attitude, which is a composite of our thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and actions. Again, we have the 2 poles. You have a negative pole, you have a positive pole. If this is failure, this is success. If this is fear, this is faith. This is dark. This is light. Going back to the controller, a joystick moves on one axis. This moves on one axis. You don't destroy the stick, you change directions. We don't want to rid and destroy this because without this, we don't have this. So that's what people do. They're afraid to fail. They're afraid to try something. But that's how you learn. That's how you get to this side. You don't get this without this. We be grateful for our success, our setbacks, because they have a seed on the other side. To link this with the paradigm, most people sit at one pole and call it reality. They are overly identified with this negative pole. But polarity means you can move. You are not stuck. You are not stuck. Change is inevitable. Personal growth is a choice. If you can experience lack, abundance must exist, or lack could not be understood. So that takes us to number 5. I'm going to erase some of this. Number 5 is the law of rhythm. Now, once you start to really understand these things, you see how they flow. You see how they're connected. Number 5 is the law of rhythm. And this tells us everything flows in and out. Life moves in cycles. This is what this means. You have growth, then you have pause. You have harvest, you have rest. You have spring, you have summer. You have fall, you have winter. You have night, you have day. You have sleep, you have awake. You have ups, you have downs. You have highs, you have lows. This is natural. So once we get an understanding of this, it's like a roller coaster. We go up, we go down. We go up, we go down. We know we're on the way up. We know life is going good, life is going good, life is going good. That must mean it is going to go down. But this is okay. What is this going down doing? Building back momentum to shoot us up. What's it going to do? Go back down. Boom. But once we start to really understand this, it's not such straight. It's going to go up. It's going to go up. The choice is yours. The problem isn't the low tide. The problem is panicking during it. When we're in that left season, don't panic. Don't worry about anything. God got you. Let go and let God. But that's the problem. We try to do it all by ourselves. You have God. God is here with you. Lean on God. So, took a metaphor this to the controller. Every game has a loading screen, a cutscene, training levels, but you don't quit during the loading screen. So why are you going to quit in your preparation season? This is your preparation season. If you have the image in your mind, let's say you've written it down. You've got it on a spiritual level. You've got it on an intellectual level. You've got it on an emotional level. The last piece of the puzzle is the physical plane. And to link this to the paradigm, most people self-sabotage during the delay phase. They self-sabotage on this down phase. They quit. They procrastinate. They make excuses. They back out. They retreat back into that comfort zone because the paradigm expects instant feedback. But we know every cause has a corresponding effect, even if not yet present to our physical senses. We know this with our higher mind. The wait isn't punishment, it's preparation. The wait is not punishment, it's preparation. Which brings us to number 6, the law of cause and effect. We know every cause has an effect, even if we cannot see it. It is happening. So this brings us to number 6, which is the law of cause and effect. Some may call this karma. Nothing happens by chance. This is a very orderly universe. Nothing happens by chance. What this means is every result has a cause and every effect has a source. You are either causing intentionally or reacting unconsciously. With the controller, button pressed, when we press this B button, an action occurs. We press this A button, we're going to jump. We press this Y, these things are no mystery. They're no luck. They have a corresponding thing. But the difference lies in whether we know what's happening. Because people say, I don't know why this keeps happening. But the truth is, you do know, you just don't see the cause yet. You do know, you just don't see the cause yet. You do know, you just don't have that awareness yet. You do know you're making this amount of money here, which is something's causing this. You just may not see yet. Otherwise, you'd be up here. And what we're wanting to do is get up here because it's our choice. Life is a series of choices. Change is inevitable. Personal growth is a choice. So, When you don't choose a cause, you live as an effect. There's a good quote that says, in the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until ultimately we become enslaved by it. So once we start to understand this, and I'm going to get into videos about how money works and how we can earn more money, because a lot of people, again, just do stuff because that's what their dad did and their dad did and their mom did and their mom did. Like go to school, get a good job, get good benefits, save money. That's old, outdated advice. It doesn't work anymore. Life is changed beyond that. We need to have multiple sources of income if you want financial freedom. And I think a lot of people do because we are born free. Yet everywhere we look, we are in chains. We make decisions not based on what we really desire. I bet a lot of people want to go travel here. They want this car. They want this house. They want to do this. They want to eat at these places. Yet they're bound to their bank account, bound to the money. But they use the excuse, oh, I can't, money's bad. I can't serve God and love money. You're serving money right now. You wake up when the money tells you to wake up. You go to work every day because that's what you did yesterday. Why? Because you're stuck in survival. You have no time, no energy. It's not that you don't, but it's that you're dominated by this to start thinking about abundance, prosperity, planning how to get out of this rat race, this repetitive loop. Now, unless you're just overly happy to go to work, which you should be, you should go to work for enjoyment. You should go to work for excitement. We provide service to earn money. So, lastly, we have the law of gender. We're going to put this here. Number 7 is the law of gender. This tells us everything has a masculine and a feminine principle. What it means is creation requires masculine, feminine. The masculine, we see intention, direction, and decision. The feminine, we see reception, gestation, and formation. Another way to put this is the thought is the seed, the feeling is the womb, and this equals the form. Remember our SIP. The thought is the seed, the feeling is here, this is the womb, the form is the physical, the result. Remember 3. We're going to get into that later on. So, using a controller metaphor, you need the command and you need the processing. Because force alone doesn't create results, and surrender alone doesn't create. Some people, they try to mash their way through life. Some people, I'm just going to give whatever life takes me. You need 2 to make 3. It takes 2 to tango. To link this to our paradigm, people either, again, force outcomes, which results in burnout. They try to get 3 jobs, 4 jobs, overly hustle, chase the bag, chase the bag, chase the bag. No, stop it. Or they wait passively, aka stagnation, waiting for God to come drop $1 million in the hand, waiting for all the lights to turn green, waiting instead of demanding, expecting out of life. You've got to demand the life that you deserve and that you desire, and that is your God-given birthright. Who is telling you that you don't deserve this stuff? Because it's not true. You can have the life that you desire without violating the rights of other people. And you will have this when you understand these rules, these laws in the game of life that you're playing. You don't chase creation, you allow it to form. Remember, you're not chasing this. You're allowing this to form from this state of be, do, have. Be, do, have. be the person you want to be. See yourself as this person. What's going to go from there? You're going to do the things that this person would do. What's going to go from there? You're going to have the life, the results that this person is. It's not the other way around. You don't have, do be. You be, do have. So if your goal is more money, you should know it runs from those who chase it. Just think of that. If somebody's chasing after you, what are you going to do? You're going to run. But if somebody's calling you, guess what happens? So there we have it. In this video, we talked about the game of life. We got some more understanding of paradigms. And we looked at 7 laws that are ruling, regulating, and governing our life. Our intention is to get a better understanding of this, not only to understand these, but to implement, apply these, and be in harmony with these laws. That way we can improve the results we're getting in our life, particularly in the field of our health, our happiness, and our wealth. So, once you understand these laws, life stops feeling random, and you realize you've been holding the controller the whole time. Now again, the game doesn't change, but the player surely does. The process of achieving our goals is not necessarily about getting the stuff. It's who we become on that journey. Thank y'all for tapping in. If you like this video, make sure you subscribe, like, comment, share it with somebody who needs to understand this. Until next time.